It's funny, how sometimes the biggest moments in your life bring up the oldest wounds. I'm supposed to be planning my dream wedding to Alex right now, just a couple of months away. But instead, I'm caught in this insane whirlwind, this complete dilemma with Robert, my dad, because he's threatened to skip my wedding entirely and cut me off for good. All because I asked my uncle to walk me down the aisle. Look, I know what you're thinking. Tradition. Dad walks the daughter down. And believe me, that's what makes this whole thing feel so heavy. But my situation? It's different. My Uncle David, he's been more of a father to me than Robert ever was, certainly more than he has been for the vast majority of my life. And Robert and I? We only just started trying to build something, in the last couple of years. Let me take you back a bit. Uncle David is my mom Elaine's younger brother. And he basically stepped in, took over, when Robert just left. See, my parents, they were college sweethearts. Had me, Olivia, their firstborn, when they were still practically kids themselves. They scraped by with my grandparents' help, got married, and then came Michael, my brother, 2 years later. And then, a whole 9 years after me, out of the blue, my little sister Chloe arrived. A surprise, to say the least. Things were okay for a while. Normal, I guess. But when Chloe was just about 3, Robert's company hit some serious financial trouble. Now, Elaine, my mom, she was working by then, but her job just didn't pay what Robert's did. And it wasn't her fault, really. She'd spent so many years raising us, she hadn't had the same opportunities to climb the ladder like Robert had. But he never understood that. The fights started then. Every day. Always about money. They'd start over something silly, but it always circled back to the bills, the lack of money. It was exhausting, just watching them. And then, when I was 15, it happened. My dad, Robert, he just left. One day he was there, the next he wasn't. We waited. My mom called everyone. But the only thing that came back was divorce papers a few days later. And it wasn't just a divorce. He signed away custody of us 3 kids. Walked away, leaving us with a measly amount of alimony and child support. Elaine, by then, she was just too broken to fight for her marriage. She'd given up. She could have fought for more money, but honestly, Robert's company had pretty much crashed and burned anyway. So, we just accepted it. We had to. But it hurt. God, it hurt so much that he could just abandon us like that. It made everything 10 times harder for my mom, financially and emotionally. She was a single mom of 3, one of them a toddler. She needed all the help she could get. And that's where Uncle David stepped in. He moved in with us, became our rock. He helped with everything, chores, taking care of Chloe, getting us to school, making sure we had someone to talk to. Also Elaine could focus on her job, try to bring in more money. That was our life after Robert abandoned us. We barely had time to process the shock, because we couldn't let the bills pile up. Michael and I even got part-time summer jobs to help out. That's just how it was, for years. Robert never looked back. We never heard from him. I'd visit Grandma Carol and Grandpa George occasionally, but even they didn't know what he was doing. He just cut us all off, started fresh. And it just burned, knowing he didn't think his own kids were worth keeping in touch with, not even a call, a visit. But that was our reality. We learned to just shut up and deal with it. Fast forward. I'm 25 now, about to get married. And my mom, Elaine, she's not here anymore. She passed away 3 years ago from a heart attack. And it was at her funeral, that's when Robert and I reconnected. Michael and Chloe, they weren't so quick to forgive him, understandably. But I wanted to give him a chance. So, for these past 3 years, we've been trying to mend things. It's been going. But when he found out I hadn't asked him to walk me down the aisle, he lost it. Absolutely lost it. He confronted me, saying he thought we'd mended things enough for him to have that role. He said it was a big deal for him, that I was his daughter, and David was just an uncle. Couldn't be a father figure, according to him. What he doesn't get is that David has been a huge part of our lives. He is a father figure to me. I tried to explain, to make him understand, but he's just so upset. He's telling me that this just proves I haven't truly forgiven him, that I'm holding the past against him, and if I won't let him have his right as a father, then all our efforts of the last 3 years have been pointless. He even said he wouldn't feel comfortable attending the wedding if that's the case. I'm in such a weird spot. I don't want to hurt him, but I've already asked Uncle David. And honestly, David deserves it more. I just don't know how to make Robert see that without making him even angrier. It feels like I'm the bad guy here, for not pretending that everything's magically fine and forgotten after what he did. Something like that, you don't forgive it in 3 years, no matter how hard you try. Everyone I've talked to, Alex, Sarah, Michael, Chloe, they all agree. If I want Uncle David, I should have Uncle David. I don't owe Robert anything. And you know what? They're right. Just because we're working on our relationship doesn't mean it's all perfect. I don't think I'll ever forget him abandoning us. That's 7 years of my life, a huge chunk. He wasn't there for high school graduation, or when I left for college, or when I graduated college. But Elaine was. And right there with her, every step, was Uncle David. So, yeah, it's only fair I ask David. If Robert's so upset he can't come, then that's on him. It'll just prove he's still the selfish person he always was, and nothing's changed. And if he really skips my wedding over this? Then I'm done. Done for good this time. No more second chances. A couple of days ago, Robert finally called. I made it clear, I'm not changing my mind. I told him, as politely as I could, that I appreciated it meant a lot to him, but what David did for us, I can't forget that. It's important to me that David walks me down. Traditions don't matter to me as much as this. And if he can't accept it, that's his problem, not mine. He lost his mind. Even on the phone, I felt like he was screaming right in my face. He got so aggressive. He said if this is how I was going to play it, then he didn't want a relationship with me for the rest of his life anyway. He even tried to twist it, making it sound like he was the one who gave us a chance by reconnecting, when it was totally the other way around. It would have been so easy for me to just say no, I want nothing to do with him after Elaine's funeral. My siblings did. They're still wary around him. But I chose to give him a chance. He was making it sound like he was doing us a favor. Please. I was 22 when Elaine passed. Michael was 20, Chloe 13. We were old enough to understand he'd abandoned us, that we couldn't count on him. His choice to come back was entirely his own. He wasn't doing us a favor. We were grown. We had Uncle David. This choosing us nonsense was just that, nonsense. So I told him. I said, you didn't choose us, Robert. You came back because you felt guilty. We chose to forgive you. He couldn't handle that. He yelled louder, called me ungrateful, said I didn't deserve to be his daughter. Said he made the right choice all those years ago because we clearly didn't value him. And then he accused Elaine. My mom. He said she must have raised us to hate him like that. That's where I drew the line. Elaine didn't have to make us hate him, he did that all on his own. After he left, my mom barely spoke about him. She took the high road. She acted like he never existed because she was so incredibly hurt. He had no right to say that about her. Before he could say anything else, I cut him off. I told him I was done talking, that he wasn't required at my wedding anymore. He didn't respect me, he didn't respect my family. I don't want someone like that there on a day that's supposed to be filled with happiness, surrounded only by people who genuinely love and care for me. And clearly, he's not one of them. I hung up. Then I blocked him. I'm just done. He hasn't stopped trying to get in touch. Emails, texts, calling from different numbers. Even got some of his family members to call me, telling me he doesn't want to miss my wedding, that what he said was in a fit of anger. But it doesn't matter if it was anger or not. He still said it. Anger doesn't give you a license to say whatever you want and get away with it. I just need space. Obviously, I want my wedding to go smoothly. But he needs to respect my wishes. I don't have to operate on his terms anymore. I'm not a child. If he can't understand that, then maybe it's better we don't keep in touch anyway. And then he went and contacted Uncle David. Unbelievable. He knows David can't stand him. But he called David, asking him to convince me to talk to him. David, annoyed but curious, asked Robert what was going on. So, Robert told him the whole truth about the aisle situation. I hadn't wanted David to know, didn't want him dragged into the drama, or to feel bad that Robert thought he wasn't father enough. But David, he handled it like only David could. He just told me what happened, then said he was glad I chose him. He even said he was proud that I was fighting for him, putting my renewed relationship with Robert at stake. And then he told me that if I truly wanted Robert to walk me down, he'd step aside. He didn't want my relationship with my dad to fall apart again because of him. It was so hard for him to say that, I could see it. But he was trying to do the right thing. And it just solidified everything for me. This man, my uncle, was willing to give up something so meaningful to him, just for my happiness, for the chance that I might have a peaceful wedding, a better relationship with Robert. If that's not being a father, I don't know what is. I told him no. There was no need for him to be so magnanimous. Robert probably called him just to get David to step aside, not because he actually cared, but as some power play. Well, he's not getting his way. I chose David. It's what Elaine would have wanted too. If Robert truly wanted to fix our relationship, he'd accept my decision. He wouldn't make my wedding about himself. If he can't do that, it's his problem. Robert has let me down enough times. This is the last. Michael and Chloe never gave him a second chance, but I did. And I'll have the satisfaction of knowing I tried. He'll have to live with screwing it up. So, here we are, just 1 week until the wedding. And no, I haven't spoken to Robert. He kept trying for a couple of months, but then he just stopped. And honestly, I felt nothing but relief. As a kid, he never cared about hurting us when he abandoned us. All he cared about was his own happiness. So why is it wrong for me to do the same now? I'm used to living without him. So I cut him out again. The other day, a message came through Grandma Carol and Grandpa George. They've always been there for me, no matter what, and they've supported my decision. Robert told them that he thought it wouldn't be appropriate for him to attend, and he was sure I didn't want him there anyway. But he wanted me to know he gave me his blessings and wished me happiness. Oh, and he's moving to Sydney by the end of the year, a new job opportunity. I even looked it up, it's legit. Good for him, I guess. We'll both be starting new chapters. I don't think we'll be speaking anytime soon. But at least we wish each other well, even after all this. It's probably the most we can ask for. The wedding was 2 days ago. It still feels unreal. Uncle David walked me down the aisle. There was a seat set aside for Elaine. It was emotional, beautiful. I'm so happy. Last night, Alex told me he got an email from an address he didn't recognize. It was from Robert. We read it together. Just him congratulating us, saying he was proud, and that he wanted to give us space. He wouldn't ask us to visit him. But if we ever wanted to, he'd like to have dinner before he leaves for Sydney. Right now, I don't know if I'll do that. I'm just enjoying being a newlywed. Maybe after the honeymoon. For now, I'm just happy. Too happy to let anything bother me. What would you have done in my shoes?